My father was often invited to lend his name to an organization, to agree to be on the board of advisors or something of that sort. And he had one very simple principle, and that was that he would never agree to do such a thing unless he was actually going to be substantially involved with the organization, that he didn't think it was proper to simply give his name because he knew they were on the right side when he didn't know whether they were doing the right things or how. It is very hard to be involved with an organization after you're dead. So when my parents set up the foundation, one of the rules they wanted to have followed by the foundation was that a certain number of years after the last of the founders had died, there would no longer exist a Friedman Foundation. They were thinking partly of what had eventually happened to the Ford Foundation and the Rockefeller Foundation, neither of which I think does the things that Ford and Rockefeller would have wanted them to do if they were still alive. And there were two possible ways of achieving this objective, and one, which certainly we considered, was simply having the foundation closed down. Unfortunately, despite the best efforts of a very talented staff, there are still states without voucher programs. Indeed, there are states, just about all of the states, without adequate voucher programs. That is, without programs that will fully provide every child with the option of having as much money for a school of his choice as the state currently spends on the public schools. And so the alternative that was agreed on, was that the foundation would continue, but it would agree to give up my parents' name, which is what is now just happening. And I guess the reason I came here tonight was to make it clear that this is not a matter of rejecting my parents, but rather of doing what they had wanted done. And I'm glad that it's happening. So far, we've been lucky that despite the absence of the founders, the foundation, as far as I can tell, is continuing to do good work. And there aren't nearly as many states with voucher programs as there ought to be, but there are more states with voucher programs than there would be if the foundation wasn't doing its work. My father observed a long time ago an observation also made, oddly enough, by George Orwell, that he thought he got the direction of change right, but the timetable wrong. Both of them commented that they expected things to happen faster than they did happen. They're not the only ones. I'm pretty sure that 20 or 30 years ago, I thought we would have an anonymous e-cash by 20 years ago, and it doesn't seem to have happened. It's a fairly common pattern. And so, unfortunately, we have not yet accomplished all that ought to be accomplished, but we've at least made a good deal of progress. I'd like to particularly thank Patrick, who I think is the next speaker, since I think he has done a very good job of acting as a substitute for those no longer around and helping to keep the foundation going in the right direction. And of course, I'd like to thank the staff who've done the actual work. And so far, even though I can complain about the fact they don't yet have universal vouchers everywhere, nonetheless, I think they've done at least as much as one could reasonably hope for. Thank you.